Well, hello there. Today we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books, and a magazine, because I read a magazine. And that was Dark Dead Things Volume 1. It's a new horror magazine. It's put out by Mike Salinas. I'll put the link down below to Mike Salinas' Instagram, which is basically the Dark Dead Things Instagram, and then also the link to the website too, if you would like to check out this magazine. It is poetry and short stories. It's all horror, and some of it was sci-fi horror, and some was blobby horror, I guess we'll call it. It's blobby. Who doesn't love blobby horror? There's ghosts, there's human monsters too. All the stories were pretty great. In the magazine there's 10 different pieces, 2 are poems, and then the rest were all short stories. The only author I had heard of was Chandler Morrison. There's a story in there from them, and that was a really great story. That was called Prom Queen Daydream, which was actually one of my favorite stories in the magazine. And then another one I really liked was called Lasting Nightmares by Kelly Fillinger, and that story was really creepy and weird. There's this family, there's mom, brother, and sister, and the brother goes to sleep at night. He hears something like outside his door. He thinks it's his sister, maybe messing with him or whatever. But then this man's voice is like saying his name and is like, "Come out here," and he's all like, "Oh no!" And so he like gets close to the door and like locks it. But then something's pounding on the door and my baby's coming after him. Is it real? Is it a dream? I don't know, but it goes sideways. And it was really good. I really liked it. I liked all the stories in it, but those were my 2 favorites. The Chandler Morrison story and then this one. So if you're a fan of horror magazines with some really great stories, this one might be one you want to check out. And as I said, I'll have the links down below to that. And then recently, what I finished this last night, was the United States of Cryptids by J.W. Ocker. And also libraries. Why do you put these why on the front? Don't you know we want to Instagram your stuff? My library doesn't do this. I've already said this, mine doesn't. Whenever I order something from another library, it's not all of them, there's just a couple that do this, and it drives me crazy every time because I may or may not peel off the stickers so I can Instagram them and put them back on. I love cryptids. If you've been around the channel, you maybe heard me say this, you know that Mothman is my favorite. If you didn't, now you do. I've read several books about cryptids. This book had several that I'd never heard of, that had weird names. And it was really great. And it's sectioned off into like the Northeast, then you have the Midwest, and then South, and then out California West Coast. Also, like, he mentions different festivals and different destinations of museums that are cryptid museums, and different really giant statues. And if you want to know where the tallest Bigfoot statues are in the country, you can look at this book and read. I believe it's in California or Washington, I don't remember. But it's in the back of the contents of the book. I'm not going to look it up right now because I am lazy. So some of the ones I hadn't heard of that had like real weird names were the Snallygaster, Snarly Yow, Zach Galifianakis, not Zach Galifianakis, the Galawakis. My brain, that's how it puts things together. Galawakis, Zach Galifianakis, I don't know. The Wampahoofus. Like, there's some real wacky named cryptids. And it was just a fun read if you have any interest in that. And also, cryptid, in case you don't know what a cryptid is, it's basically a creature or species whose existence is scientifically unproven. Maybe it's been witnessed or rumored to exist. Maybe it's even been caught on video, but there's no definitive physical evidence. Like, you can't examine the body, there's no remains to analyze, and so because of that, science is like, it does not exist. So science places those creatures in like the category of fantasy instead of reality. So that's what a cryptid is, until it's proven to exist, and then it becomes, you know, part of zoology. Like that one weird fish, the coelacanth, I think that's what it's called, or coelacanth. I don't know how to say that, but it was an ancient fish that they thought was extinct, that didn't exist anymore, and then they found one in like 1938 or maybe again, and then it was no longer a cryptid. So once it's been proven to exist, it's no longer a cryptid. So it's these strange beasts, you know, the ones you're probably most familiar with: Bigfoot, Mothman, skunk ape. There's a lot of just different names for Bigfoot that, you know, Yeti, Zowie, Momo, those are all different types of Bigfoots that maybe you have heard of. But yeah, there's a lot of weird ones too. Lizard men, frog men, weird 3-legged things, traveling pants. Oh yeah, traveling pants, and not the sisterhood of them. Some weird, creepy pants. I forget what those ones were called. There's like 60 different cryptids in this book, so there's a lot going on. So what I'm currently reading is Ghost Music by Anu. This book is quite beautifully written so far. It is about this character. When she was growing up, she played the piano, and piano was her life, and that was gonna maybe be her career, and then she kind of gave it all up and got married and forgot about it. And so she has this dream that she's in this room and there's no way to get out of it. It's just walls. And there's this mushroom that's talking to her. And then, she wakes up. So talking mushrooms, weird dream. Oh, and she also starts getting these weird packages of mushrooms sent to her house on a regular basis that they're like, why are they being sent to me? I do not know. So there's a lot of these weird, mysterious things happening. And it's pretty great so far. I'm about halfway through it and really enjoying it. I'll probably finish it tonight. I picked it up because I've had kind of like a fascination with books having to do with like weird mushrooms and stuff recently. Or well, I don't know if it's recently, but I'm trying to think like good books with like mushroom type themes. Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman, What Moves the Dead, which was a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, which was written by T. Kingfisher. And then I also read a nonfiction book called Fieldwork by Elena Regan, and that has heavy emphasis on foraging, and mushrooms are interwoven throughout the story, which was pretty great. So I don't know, I guess I'm on a mushroom kick. I think I saw it on Instagram, and there was a big display of all these different books that had like mushrooms in the theme, and I was like, I'm gonna get that and check that out because I liked the name. I thought Ghost Music sounded awesome and had mushrooms on the cover, and I was like, yes, please. Give me more mushroom stories. They're weird. Fungus is weird and fascinating. So an upcoming read that I'm going to read is a book that's going to be super weird, and I'm judging this based on the name of it, and it's called Letters to the Editor of Cthulhu Sex Magazine. That's right, Cthulhu Sex Magazine. The author had reached out to me, and so I read the synopsis, and it sounded pretty freaking interesting and weird, and I like weird stuff. So I was like, I am gonna read this. So I'll read you the synopsis to give you guys a little taste of the weird. Cthulhu, tentacles, let's go. What's your kink? Oh, Cthulhu. The Sleeping King or whatever. He's down there in the ocean. He's due to come back one of these days. These various writings from both the virtual and the material world seem to hint at a darkness that is more horrible than we can imagine. Perhaps it has already overtaken us, as some of the writings seem to suggest, and our minds are so clouded that we do not realize it for what it is. How do we let this accursed publishing house exist? There used to be a magazine called Cthulhu Sex? Or was there? Did it even exist? Evidence of its existence seems limited, but to a few mentions on the internet by people of dubious distinction. This is a compilation of letters to the editor, as well as the forewords and afterwords. They seem to hint at events that may have led the undoing of not just the magazine, but the publishing company as a whole. It starts out with the usual ramblings of a madman that you would expect to be involved in such a venture. As the letters progress or evolve, or perhaps devolve is a better word, into a Lovecraftian tale about sacrifices needed to develop a cult following. Does that not sound weird? And I will have links down below for all these books if you want to check out any of them. Some of those will be affiliate links, which is a great way to support the channel and to support indie bookstores. And then I got a couple books from the library. Alright, the first is the London Seance Society. This is another book of the month book because I can't stop reading them, except for I get mine from the library. So this book obviously is going to be about seances, right? Because that's what it says right in the title of the book. I honestly don't know what it's about, but it had me at seance. Who are we summoning? What are we talking to? I don't know. Let's have some story time with Sin and find out. Oh yeah, 1873. At an abandoned chateau on the outskirts of Paris, a dark seance is about to take place, led by the acclaimed spiritualist Vaudeline d'Alaire. I'm probably saying that wrong. D'Alaire. Vaudeline d'Alaire. Maybe it's Maybelline. Known worldwide for her talent in conjuring the spirits of murder victims to ascertain the identities of the people who killed them. She is highly sought after by widows and investigators alike. Lena Wicks has come to Paris to find answers about her sister's death. But to do so, she must embrace the unknown and overcome her logic-driven bias against the occult. Expand your mind. When Vaudeline is summoned to England to solve a high-profile murder, Lena accompanies her as an understudy. But as the women team up with the powerful men of London's exclusive Seance society to solve the mystery, they begin to suspect they are not merely out to solve a crime, but perhaps are entangled in one themselves. Dun dun dun! That sounds like a mystery. I like it. It sounds pretty good. I know I will probably enjoy this. I love stuff like that. Next book I got from the library is The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I like all these tentacles. There's so many tentacles on this cover. Sorry for the glare. This is a good looking cover. Like the color, alternating colors with the blue and the yellow, and then you got blue tentacles under here, and you got the pinkish ones up here. It caught my eye at the library, and I know Kristen Crave's Books might be reading this right now. I'm not 100% sure. I either saw that on Goodreads or Instagram. If you haven't had a chance to check out her channel, she's freaking great. I'll put a link to her channel down below too. I think that's where I saw this book. And so when I was at the library, I was triggered and was like, must have this book. And I like a good fantasy that has to do with seafaring and whatnot. So more story time with Sin. Let's go. Because I don't know what this is about either. Like, a lot of times I just get books and I don't know what they're about, but I like the cover and I trust certain people on Booktube. I have faith in their taste in books, and most of the time it turns out pretty good. Sometimes, you know, you're gonna get some stickers, but let's see. This is going to be a trilogy, apparently. So this says, Shannon Chakraborty, the best-selling author of The City of Brass, spins a new trilogy of magic and mayhem on the high seas in this tale of pirates and sorcerers, forbidden artifacts, and ancient mysteries, in one woman's determined quest to seize a final chance at glory and write her own legend. Well, heck yeah, let's go. Amina al-Sirafi should be content. After a storied and scandalous career as one of the Indian Ocean's most notorious pirates, she's survived backstabbing rogues, vengeful merchant princes, several husbands, and one actual demon to retire peacefully with her family to a life of piety, motherhood, and absolutely nothing that hints of the supernatural. But it's always a big but. When she's tracked down by the obscenely wealthy mother of a former crewman, she's offered a job no bandit could refuse. Retrieve her comrade's kidnapped daughter for a kingly sum. The chance to have one last adventure with her crew, do right by an old friend, and win a fortune that will secure her family's future forever? Seems like such an obvious choice that it must be God's will. Yet, the deeper Amina dives, no pun intended, I bet it was. That was totally intended. The more it becomes alarmingly clear that there's more to this job in the girl's disappearance than she was led to believe. For there's always risk in wanting to become a legend, to seize one last chance at glory, to savor just a bit more power. And the price might be your very soul. If it sounds too good to be true, people, it probably is. Words to live by. And this is a trilogy, so, you know, I'm guessing she got a little more than she asked for. Seemed like it'd be an easy job, but they never are they? If you are a fan of videos where I talk about multiple books that I'm reading, the next video coming up will be another one about multiple books that I have read. So stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again. We'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.